What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. I want to thank everybody who subscribed to the page, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, alright? Today's video is entitled 10 Reasons LeBron James Should Join the Spurs. So, obviously there's been a lot of news over the Cavs organization, the disarray, the front office, the GM being fired or not extended and not replaced by anybody. Kyrie Irving requesting a trade and things of that nature. So at this point, if the Cavaliers are not going to be an organization that competes for a championship going forward, or don't have a realistic shot at winning the actual championship, even if LeBron can get them there, I believe that he will go. Now, when he goes, a lot of people are talking about the Lakers and the Spurs are the main teams. The Lakers are not quite ready to contend yet. It's going to take more pieces. It's going to take more experiences for the pieces that they want to keep in place. But when you look over at the San Antonio Spurs, they're obviously the best destination basketball-wise to go to. And these are the 10 reasons why I believe LeBron James will join the Spurs, or should join the Spurs. All right. Reason number 10. Kyrie Irving is leaving, and the Cavs front office is in disarray. Kind of like I just said, Kyrie Irving did request a trade from the team, from the organization. He wanted to, citing that he wanted to be the focal point of his own franchise, which is fair enough, I guess. It's a very odd thing. It's not like this team is just a playoff team or a mediocre team. The team is a championship level team, won a championship a year removed from winning the championship. But he wants his own team. That's fine. It's his decision. If he's leaving and the Cavaliers are not showing that they can put a team together to compete, as they have never really shown that in the past before David Griffin, then I believe LeBron James is going to be on his way. All right, and the Spurs are the destination. All right, let's talk about reason number 9. Reason number 9 are the Spurs are the only team in the NBA that have really demonstrated some type of success against the Durant-led Warriors. So we've seen the Spurs take them during the regular season, and then we've seen the Spurs get up on them in the playoffs by like 20 plus points or whatever. This is the only time we saw them actually pushed in the playoffs. The Warriors ended up going 12-0 in the Western Conference Finals. The vaunted Western Conference Finals are so tough, or whatever, the Wild Wild West. They went 12-0. And even the game that the Spurs were up by 20 plus points, Kawhi Leonard was hurt on a dirty play, and the Warriors ended up coming back and winning. So the Warriors completely dominated the Western Conference, but the one time that they were kind of in trouble a little bit was against the San Antonio Spurs. Even in the past seasons, we've seen the Spurs are the only team that really put together a strategy for the Warriors. Like, there was 2 seasons ago, the Spurs basically played them at a very slow tempo the whole game, had the discipline to do it the entire game. And yeah, they ended up losing at the end, but they've shown, Greg Popovich has shown the ability to try different stuff. He tried Kawhi Leonard on Curry or whatever, had a little bit of success. Tried Kawhi Leonard on Draymond Green to disrupt their offense and stuff. Popovich is really the only coach, in my opinion, that's really qualified to really game plan effectively against the Warriors, or at least the only coach I would really trust or whatever. So there's that. All right, let's talk about reason number 8. Reason number 8 is the point guard position for the San Antonio Spurs is currently in transition. So, and what I mean by that, Tony Parker's old. He got injured pretty badly last year. I don't even know if he's coming back to the Spurs as of right now. They have DeJounte Murray. They have the other young guy that they just drafted out of Colorado. I can never remember his name. They even have a guy in the D-League that they like a lot. All these guys are options at the point guard position, but the point guard position has not been clearly defined by the San Antonio Spurs as of yet. All right, so I feel like when LeBron goes there, because his usage rate is always so high, and that's supposedly one of Kyrie's issues, is that he doesn't have the ball in his hands enough. Since LeBron always has the ball and always wants to kind of be the initiator of the offense, I feel like if he went to the San Antonio Spurs, it would be his opportunity to do it. I mean, he's going to have the opportunity to do it anywhere, basically. But with the Spurs, there would be no minimizing of other players because there's nobody else in that role who's ready to take over that role full time yet. If you remember last year, they even used to give Jonathan Simmons some of the ball handling duties. Kawhi Leonard used to have some of the ball handling duties and stuff in the playoffs after Tony Parker went down. They don't have a real point guard now that Tony Parker's kind of hurt and you know, probably going to be on his way out. They don't have anybody to take over that role. So I think he could get in there, and his dominance of the ball would not really mess up what the Spurs have going on, okay? So let's talk about number 7. In my opinion, LeBron James' defensive effort would increase significantly if he went to the Spurs. Number 1, if we look at LeBron James, his defensive effort and his defensive effectiveness has kind of been on a sliding scale. Yeah, in the finals and in the playoffs he brings his defensive intensity up and he's tremendous or whatever at times. But during the regular season, his defense kind of, you know, isn't good. And the main reason is because that team is just not a good defensive team. They don't have players to be good defensively. So I guess for him, it's not worth it to expend the energy. So, you know, the defensive, it can be lackluster at times. So if you were to plug LeBron James in a defensive system like the Spurs that has been dominant and been amongst the best defenses in the NBA over the past couple of years, with somebody who won 2 back-to-back Defensive Player of the Years, with Aldridge, somebody who's proven that he can be a good rim protector even though he may not like that role necessarily, with another guard like Danny Green, who's also another good on-ball defender, or great as some people believe. I believe LeBron James would have no choice but to raise that defensive intensity level every game and help make the Spurs the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, which is what they would be. All right, so that would be another factor of why he should go to the Spurs and why the Spurs would be the best fit for LeBron James. Let's talk about reason number 6. Reason number 6 is he would actually play in a proven offensive system, probably one of the premier offensive systems in the NBA over the last couple of years, and even beyond the last couple of years. I believe we saw when he was in Miami, LeBron James played at like career high efficiency levels, like where the field goal percentage, the 3-point percentage, just the overall player efficiency ratings and stuff were amongst his highest when he was in Miami. Why? Because he had a real coach, number 1, in Eric Spoelstra, even though Eric Spoelstra was still not proven at the time. But up to this point, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach he's had. So in a real offensive system where everybody has a role to play and basically areas on the court to operate at and you know, assignments, I believe he would really be efficient in that offense and be able to lead them effectively. All right, so that's number 6. Number 5, I believe LeBron James would elevate LaMarcus Aldridge's game. So LaMarcus Aldridge last season was famed. He's kind of the only person we've ever heard kind of complain about the Spurs way and things of that nature, mainly because they have him just kind of protecting the rim and things of that nature and getting rebounds or whatever. It's not really full use of his skill set. Well, my opinion on that is it's because of the point guard play. If you don't have great point guard play, it's almost nearly impossible to have a power forward or a center who has a lot of offense to really be able to dominate, because the point guard is the one who has to get them in position, who has to feed them the ball in positions for them to succeed. If you don't have great point guard play, then that's not something that's going to happen. And in my opinion, it's not so much that the Spurs weren't interested in LaMarcus Aldridge's offense, is that they didn't have steady point guard play this year. I believe if LeBron James was on that Spurs team, since I believe he would be taking over a lot of the offense initiation and things of that nature, he would elevate LaMarcus Aldridge. He's always been good with pick and pop type players. He's never been that great with players who are too close to the basket, clogging the lane. But if you're coming out to set a screen and popping out for the pass or whatever, he'll get you a lot of times. I still remember how he was with Ilgauskas. Chris Bosh, even though Chris Bosh's game changed and in some eyes took a step back, I believe Chris Bosh played some of his best basketball next to LeBron. Maybe not statistically wise, but just as an effective basketball player, I feel like he played some of his best basketball next to LeBron. So I believe he could affect LaMarcus Aldridge's career in that way, and then he can bring the stats from last year, which were pretty low for LaMarcus Aldridge, and bring them up. All right, so I believe he would help maximize LaMarcus Aldridge in the Spurs system. Let's talk about number 4. Reason number 4 is Kawhi Leonard would be the best player that LeBron James has ever played with. So I understand he played with Dwayne Wade, but in my opinion, it was kind of post-prime Dwayne Wade, or nearing the end of his prime. He played with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has not entered his prime yet, and I believe Kyrie Irving still has some stuff to learn in the NBA. But Kawhi Leonard is another MVP type caliber player. In my opinion, he's ranked number 3 in the NBA currently, and I believe that combination would be stronger. The 1-3, best player, and the 3rd best player in the NBA would be greater. Would be a way to knock out the 2nd best player and the 4th best player, which is Durant and Curry, in my opinion. So, since Kawhi Leonard would be the best player that he ever played with, I think it's worth it. And then Kawhi Leonard's game can fit with LeBron. Kawhi Leonard is not somebody who has to necessarily dominate the ball. He can score in many different ways. He can score on the post, he can score outside, he can score, off the dribble and ISO sets. You can get Kawhi Leonard involved in many different ways. So it's not a situation where Kawhi Leonard needs to be, pounding the ball and trying to figure stuff out or whatever, like how Kyrie Irving kind of does. So I believe not only would Kawhi Leonard be the best player LeBron ever played with, but their games would fit together nicely. All right, let's talk about reason number 3. Reason number 3 is that Coach Popovich is the best coach LeBron James by far would have ever had. LeBron always is very complimentary of Popovich and vice versa. Popovich is about as proven as you can be in the NBA. He's the best coach currently in the NBA. Even though you could look at the situation with LaMarcus Aldridge and be like, okay, well, LaMarcus Aldridge went to Pop and it didn't help his game necessarily. I believe it's still a work in progress. I still believe that they're not going to trade LaMarcus Aldridge, that he's going to be there. And if you were to incorporate LeBron into that system, I believe Popovich, being as brilliant as he is, will find the most effective and efficient use of LeBron and incorporate him into the Spurs system in the Spurs way. So, and I believe LeBron James is obviously smart enough to pick up, the offense that the Spurs run, and he would not be the type of person who wants to disrupt it by having to hold the ball too long or whatever the case may be. Whatever is necessary to initiate and run the Spurs offense effectively and as a well-oiled machine as they are every year, I believe he will fit right in what they do and possibly raise the level up even more. All right, so Popovich would be the best coach LeBron ever had. Popovich would be able to chew out LeBron because he chewed out Tim Duncan, another all-time great player. It's the same across the board, and also expanding it more, since the Spurs organization is so it's the stellar organization in the NBA, you don't have to worry about all the talk about LeBron James being the GM and LeBron James being this and that and being too controlling of an organization, because he literally won't have the ability to do that with the Spurs. The Spurs are already set in stone. It doesn't matter how big somebody is, you can't come in there and disrupt it. So, and I think that's a good thing, right? Especially at this point in LeBron's career, don't need that extra media attention and that narrative around the organization all the time, because it could be damaging. All right. Reason number 2, LeBron James would win his 5th MVP trophy if he were to go to the Spurs organization. Mainly because the MVP this year was a little bit different with Westbrook, but the MVP typically is the best team, the best player on the best team. And the best team is record-wise, right? So if the Spurs were to have another Spurs season, I believe they win 65-plus games, possibly even 70 if LeBron was there. And they either have the 1st best record or 2nd best record in the NBA. And then, as we know with the Golden State Warriors, even though there's a chance Durant could still, depending on his numbers, could still win it, if LeBron is number 2 in the Western Conference or whatever, the Spurs win 65 games, LeBron's winning MVP basically. it's been a long time since he's won an MVP trophy. So if he's close, I believe this year had the Cavs finished first in the NBA, and Russell Westbrook maybe fell a little bit shy of the triple-double, I think LeBron would have won MVP this year. So based on the Spurs record and how they play and things of that nature, if he were to be on that team and they were to win 65 plus games, he'd be the MVP and he'd get the trophy, the 5th trophy of his career. Okay, and I think that's well worth it. I think that is something that the guy wants to do. It's one of the only things left, to be a 5-time MVP or be a 6-time MVP like Kareem or whatever, if he could do it again the following year. But it's just one of those other milestones, one of the other records that could possibly be broken. Reason number one, the number one reason that he should or he probably will join the Spurs is that they'd be the champions if he were to go there. If he was to go there, it would be enough to put them over Golden State in the Western Conference. And then if he were to go to the Western Conference, the finals would be a foregone conclusion. Because who would it be, like the Celtics or something like that? They'd probably sweep the Celtics. So just as they could have swept them this year in the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, they win the championship immediately. The year he went there, they'd win the championship. And then on top of that, going forward, because there's not another move to close that gap for Golden State, who else could Golden State possibly get? If they were to win that championship this year, then they'd be the favorites going forward until LeBron James declines. So naturally, to me, that sounds like a good situation to be in, to be on a dominant team and to take back what Golden State kind of took from you. Because if it wasn't for the Golden State Warriors, the Cavs had beat the Golden State Warriors. If it wasn't for the Golden State Warriors adding Kevin Durant, I believe LeBron and Kyrie, well, Kyrie still may have wanted to leave, but I believe the combination of LeBron and Kyrie would have continued to beat that Warriors team. But since they added Kevin Durant, it raised the stakes all the way up. And if the Spurs were to add LeBron with Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge and, possibly even eliminating a point guard and playing 2 shooting guards along with LeBron and Kawhi and LaMarcus Aldridge, or however they chose to do it, because Popovich would have the ability to throw all kinds of mismatches at every team in the NBA with the lineups he could come up with. I believe the Spurs will be the favorites to win a championship for like the next 3 years. All right, if he were to do that, even over Golden State. All right, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if LeBron shouldn't go there, if he should stay in the East, if he should go to LA. Leave it all in the comment section below. Subscribe and like the video. All right, see you next time.